Good morning, wonderful people. We are so excited that you are starting your day with us today. Today's Connecting Communities and Schools webinar will address how communities and schools can enhance family engagement. As you join, please put your name, location, and one thing you hope to learn in the chat. For our mindfulness moment this morning, we encourage you to practice gratitude by sending a short text or email to three people you are thankful for. Let's spread some cheer and kindness this morning. So, again, welcome. We are thrilled to have you all with us. We are putting our names and locations in the chat, and we are sending a quick text to three people that we are thankful for. Our housekeeping reminders are as follows. Please use the chat and Q&A features throughout today's panel. Erica will facilitate Q&A with our presenters later in the session. This webinar will be recorded and shared with each of you within the next few days. Please remember to complete the feedback form at the end of today's webinar to receive your certificate of attendance. If you have watched a recorded webinar and are missing a certificate of attendance, please email either Erica or myself, and we will make sure you receive your CEUs. As always, thank you for joining us, and we hope that you enjoy today's Connecting Communities and Schools webinar. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for putting your name and location in the chat. All right, so my name is JC Williams. I am the Director of Operations for Holspire and the lead for the South Carolina Schools Network. Our mission is to identify and promote healthy eating and active living strategies in South Carolina public schools that empower key stakeholders and encourage collaboration among those seeking to improve student health and academic achievement.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, JC, as always, for kicking us off with our webinar series. My name is Erica Ayers. I'm the School Wellness Consultant with the South Carolina Department of Public Health. I also serve as the Executive Director for the South Carolina Governor's Council on Physical Fitness. The Governor's Council is focused on supporting the health of all South Carolinians through the advancement of physical activity opportunities. For several years now, we've been working on this focus in collaboration with Holspire Schools Network, and this webinar series is an example of that collaboration. If you are new here, the purpose in this webinar series is to enhance collaboration between schools and communities using the whole school, whole community, whole child model as a framework to support student health. Today, as we usually do with this webinar series right before the holidays, we're going to be focused on family engagement because we're about to be spending a lot of times with our loved ones for the next couple of months. So we're going to have some excellent experts on our panel today that we will introduce shortly that are going to be focusing on family engagement, specifically in the realm of physical activity. Some folks are going to be coming from the community setting and some will be coming to you from the school district setting. So we look forward to sharing more with y'all. But before we introduce them, we want to get a better idea of who's in our audience today. So please complete this very short poll. And while y'all are completing the poll, I'm going to pass this back to JC, who's going to share the results with us.
All right, thanks everyone. We are thrilled to have so many different sectors represented today. All right, so we have a really awesome panel lined up for today's webinar. We will start with learning from Teddy Garrick. Teddy joined Kids in Parks in 2023 as the South Carolina Program Manager. She attended Clemson University and studied business management and nonprofit leadership. With a background in the nonprofit sector, she loves applying her experience in child and family well-being, along with a passion for all things outside to her work at Kids in Parks. For Teddy, it is a great joy to get kids excited about the adventure that they have available in their own backyard. When she isn't working, you can find her hiking and yapping, biking with her family, enjoying a good book on the front porch, or wrangling her two little boys in a creek somewhere. we will turn it over to Teddy.
Hello, how's it going? And
We're gonna
um,
we're gonna let
let's
Teddy turn on her video, and now we'll turn
got
it
it.
over to Teddy. Welcome.
I joke all the time that it's a good thing that I get to spend a lot of hours outside because technology is certainly not my strong suit. So, thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here today. My name is Teddy Garrick, and I am the South Carolina Program Manager for Kids in Parks. I'm going to give you guys just a quick backdrop of who Kids in Parks is and why we exist, and then we'll kind of get into how we can be a tool for you to utilize family engagement both in the school setting and out of the school setting. So a little bit about why Kids in Parks exist as a whole. Way back in 2009, you'll see on the next slide that we found, so Kids in Parks is under the umbrella of the Blue Ridge Parkway Foundation. So we started up in Asheville in 2009 when they did a study and found that only 7 to 11% of people that were visiting the parkway were bringing their kids, which is a shocking number to us. We feel like the outdoors and the parkway specifically is a really great and easy way to engage with kids and families all at once. This is me preaching to the choir, but if kids aren't outside and on trails, where do we think we find them? And on the next slide, you will see that we find them plugged into electronic media. So we know today that kids spend over 7.5 hours a day plugged into some form of electronic media. That could be phones, tablets, TV, laptop. I would say that number is probably pretty low. We probably see kids even more plugged in than that. By contrast, the research says that kids spend about 7 minutes a day outside in unstructured play. So that is a huge divide between those two numbers and not the future that we want for our kids and not how we want them to engage with others in the world around them. But the research would say that that divide has led to really devastating health impacts. So we see that kids are affected both mentally with things like anxiety and depression, increases in ADHD, and then also affected physically. So with the rise of diabetes and obesity and heart disease, all of that coming from sedentary lifestyles and spending too much time plugged into different devices. And so, like I said, that's not the future that we want for our kids. We want them to be able to be kids and be active and outside and moving their bodies. And so, out of all of those things, the Kids in Park program was born. And so, Kids in Parks is a really exciting program where we take existing infrastructure, so trails, running tracks, nature walks, parks that already exist, and we overlay our environmental education materials on them. And so that looks like a kiosk, like you see in this first picture with different brochure topics. Kids grab the brochure, they use that brochure along the trail. And the brochure teaches them about things that they will find on the trail, but more than that, it shifts the leadership from the parents to the child. So now the kid is the leader of the venture, they're in the front, the family is going at their pace. And it's an opportunity for kids and families to learn something at the same time, which I think is something that is pretty rare these days, is the opportunity to get to discover something and learn it together with your family unit. And so instead of mom and dad dragging me down the trail, now I'm the leader. We're going at my pace. And after I finish the trail and I've had the best time ever, I'm going to track my trail. We call them track trails on kidsinparks.com, and we actually mail them a physical prize. So they get a passport book. If we'll go back just one slide, sorry. The passport book, the custom sticker for the location that they went, a prize card, and a carabiner to keep those prize cards on. And each additional trail that they do, whether that be the same track trail over and over or then the next track trail in the next nearby town, they get the next prize in the series. And that's just a way for us to incentivize them, to make it fun, to give them a goal to work towards. The hope there, of course, is that the first, 5, 6, 7 adventures, it's about the prize. They're motivated by getting their next sticker. But as the program goes on and as the family unit really enjoys doing these adventures together, we hope that it becomes less about the prize and more about the fact that this is how this is something that our family does. So that when we're going on vacation, we're looking for a track trail to stop and stretch our legs at. When we're going to visit grandma, we're seeing what's in Greenville that I can do, what's in Charleston that I can do. Oh, we're going to Aiken, we're going to Cherokee County. How can I explore these areas and experience the track trails all across the state and then all across the country. We're really privileged to work both hyper locally with city counties. We'll talk about schools in a little bit, private entities sometimes, as well as these really phenomenal statewide partners that you see listed down below, like South Carolina State Parks and the Forest Service, the Palmetto Trail. We're also really honored to get to do some work with Healthy Palmetto and get to connect at a statewide level. So we couldn't do this work without the partnerships that we have across the state, both in those local settings and then in those statewide settings. And so we're really appreciative of each of them, which brings me to the next slide, which is the network. So the reason the network is important, we have I think we're sitting at 73 trails in South Carolina right now with about 45 in the works, over 350 across this United States. We're in 18 states and DC. And so the reason that we feel like that network is important is because we want the barrier to entry for the outdoors to be really low. We want it to be really easy for you to find a track trail in your neighborhood, in your town, in your county, in a place that you already know and feel comfortable with. So that if you're not a family that spends a ton of time outside and on the trails, that first step is somewhere where you feel really safe and connected and is in your community. And then we want the network to be robust so that as you have a great time, as you get braver, as you want to go to the next trail, the next track trail is just 15 minutes away or 20 minutes away or one town over, one county over. And it's really easy to get to earn those badges and build that momentum versus, oh, well, I did the one here in Columbia, but now I have to travel to Charleston for the next one. So that's probably going to be a while. We want it to be local and connected to the communities that the kids and families are already in. And we are continuing to grow that, which brings me to the next slide. We are partnering with Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina Foundation to roll out the program in all 46 counties in South Carolina. So we got a grant from Blue Cross Blue Shield to do 3 of those track trails that I mentioned in every county. And we are in year 3 of that grant. So that next slide shows where we're at in the network. It is kind of crazy to look at, but it shows kind of where we're at in the progress. So those dark orange counties are places where we have hosted community meetings and have trails in the ground or in the works, or a combination of the two. Those kind of medium orange counties are places where we had existing track trails. And then that one kind of pale orange county is the only county right now that doesn't have a trail in the ground or in the works, but they will. So in January, we'll host the next round of community meetings in the Midlands. And then in late April, we'll host the last round of community meetings in those last upstate counties, which means by next summer, all 46 counties will have trails in the ground and or in the works. So this is just to show you guys, not all of these are open yet, but where trails are next to you and how you can utilize getting out on them and moving with kid-friendly resources right in your own. So how can we best partner with you all? So schools are a perfect place for kids to engage with track trails. We actually have some track trails that are on school property. Hall Creek Elementary is a really phenomenal example. They're up in Asheville, North Carolina, and you'll see the language on here. They're currently closed due to trail damage because of Helene. But they've been open for a long time, and we worked with them to do citizen science brochures. So their brochures are specifically tailored to the school's curriculum around, I think it's 1st through 4th grade science classes. So their science classes actually use these. They go out, they have different testing sites. It's really fun. And then it's open to the public after school hours. So just like an open community use, after school hours, the public can access these trails. During school hours, of course, it's closed, and is utilized by the kids that are in school there. And then we're working on a really exciting project on the Viking Greenway at the Lotta schools up in Dillon County. They have a really phenomenal trail that goes around their school property and connects their community to their school. And so soon they will have a track trail there as well that will be very similar. It will be utilized during school hours by the school kids and then after school hours by the community. And I think something that's really special about that is, like we were talking about earlier, with wanting that barrier to entry to be really low, school is a place where kids feel comfortable, parents feel safe, they're familiar with it, they know it, so it can be a really great first step to outdoor recreation and environmental education because it's somewhere that is already really familiar and often beloved in families. And so, yeah, your school could potentially be a great host site for a track trail. Like I mentioned, we have some grant funding. So if you have a nature-based trail that you would be interested in looking at getting some track trail signage on, I would love to connect with you on that. And then another option that we have for schools and or other opportunities is our fitness trail. So on that next slide, you'll see some signage that we have up in Williamsburg County. So this isn't at a school, but it's at a community center. And the fitness trails are really fun. They work just like the traditional track trail in the prizes, but they are fitness focused. So they go on things that would be like a running track or a high school track, like you often have at high schools and middle schools. And kids move from sign to sign or station to station, and they exercise like a different animal along the way. So they learn a fact, like how many times a hummingbird swings their or flaps their wings in 30 seconds, and then they practice their hummingbird hand swings until they get to the next sign, and then they hop like a frog until they get to the next sign. And there are 8 of these stations that go around the trail. And again, it's just a really great way to engage with kids with a resource that already exists. I tell people all the time, so I grew up in Cherokee County. I went to Blacksburg High School, and my mom walked the track behind Blacksburg High School every single day after school for probably all 4 years that I was there. And my younger siblings were in elementary school. And I loved to walk the tracks. It was an opportunity for me to yap, like I mentioned in my bio, I'm a real walker and yapper. But my little siblings thought it was so boring. They did not want to just take the time to walk around and they did not want to chit chat. And so if something like this would have existed for them to have a different way to engage, still move their bodies, still be connected with our family, I think it would have been really fun and exciting for them. And then the other leg of our program is TrackRx. So TrackRx is our park prescription program. So this is where we work with hospital systems, school nurses. Carrie's on the call today, and she's been a great connection with us to connect us to school nurses in different districts that are interested in prescribing health for or prescribing nature for the health of their students. And so this is just a social prescription, but how it works is you write the script for kids to get outside. You can utilize this on a one-on-one basis if you're a school nurse, or you could also utilize it in like a group setting of like a health class that you are hosting. And so it's just another way to encourage kids to get outside, move their bodies, experience the sunshine or the rain, no such thing as bad weather, right? But the way the prescription works is it does have a serial number at the bottom. And so when kids register their hikes with us in order to get their prize, they put in that serial number and it connects it back to the prescriber. So if you're a school nurse and you wrote a script for me and said, hey, you can do a track trail at your local county park, there's one, you'll get a prize if you do it. It's really fun. I do it. I have a great time. I log it to get my prize. Then that's going to come back to you and say, hey, Teddy did the track trail at the local county park. So then next time you see me, you can say, Teddy, how was the track trail? Did you enjoy it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Do you have plans to do another one? Just another way to engage and incentivize them. I think something else that's really fun about these is go for a hike on a track trail is an option, but so is play outside, play in a park, go for a walk. So we can really tailor them to whatever the kid enjoys and however that they like to play. So if you have a kid that loves baseball, prescribe them to play baseball. If you have a kid that is not interested in playing sports and they just want to spend time outside in a slower manner, prescribe them to go on a walk in their neighborhood. It does not have to be kids in park specific. We just want kids to be healthier and happier, and we think time outside is a great way to do that. So this is just another kind of leg of our program. It's also a great way to engage with families because we really believe that kids are drivers of family culture. And I know my kids, at least, when they get something in their mind, they're not letting it go until we do that thing, right? They are going to say, like, Mom, can we go now? Can we go now? Can we go now? And so we kind of want to leverage that to our advantage. And we want the thing that they want to be asking their mom about is to spend time outside, or their dad or their caregiver about is to spend time outside. And so, just another way to kind of shift that family culture as a whole, not in just like a one-off situation. And then, kind of the last leg of the program is our data piece and our website. So, with the website, like I was mentioning, the track trails, they get the formal prizes in the mail, but they also can track any trail as a track trail on our website. So, our website kind of functions like an All Trails for Kids or like an Apple Watch where it keeps track of how many miles they hiked, how many adventures they've done, how many states they've been to, the different types of parks that they've been to. It compiles it all on a map, shows them how close they are to earning the next batch. And it's just another great way to motivate and incentivize. And this is a resource that is free for families to use. And so, just another way as you have kids that are launching out on Thanksgiving break, and we've got Black Friday or Opt Outside Friday coming up, or the longer winter Christmas break. You can tell them about this web app where they can find adventures near them. There's location services that'll tell them what's closest to them, but also where they can track their adventures. They can play e-adventures, which are like smartphone games that are versions of our brochures that are just a little bit more engaging and kind of bridging that gap between kids that are like, well, I don't want to fully put my phone up if I'm going to be outside. Then we want to use that as a tool and leverage it to engage with them in a new way. So this is just a resource that's available. We also consider anyone 0 to 105 a kid. So parents often like to track their adventures with us. The whole family unit can track their adventures so they can see who's been where, which kids liked which adventures, that kind of thing. Just a great resource and option. And then data. So this is just some interesting information to share with you guys, and that is why kids do what they do. So because we ask them to track their adventures in order to get their prize, we get this really beautiful back-end data. And as I was pulling some data in preparation for this presentation, I couldn't help but notice that the number one reason people visited a park or a trail was to spend time with their family. And I think that that is super telling data. It's not it's sometimes that they came for the adventure or that they wanted to learn about nature history, or sometimes that their parents made them. We do have a percentage of those. But the primary reason kids are coming is to spend time with family and to be active outdoors. And I think that that is phenomenal and something that we just want to continue to encourage every chance we get of this is an opportunity to feel healthier and happier in your body, and it's an opportunity to feel more connected to the people that you live with and spend time with. And as we get into the holidays, hopefully more connected to the people that we don't get to see as often, that are maybe further away or grandparents. Something that I always mention is a perk of Kids in Parks is all of our trails are vetted as kids trails, which means they're typically very much senior adult friendly. And so we have a lot of engagement with grandparents and grandchildren because if the trail is good for a young child, it's typically pretty good for an older adult. And kids and grandkids really enjoy doing this together. It's a great way to have multi-generational connection and time together, which I find really special and important, I think, in the grand scheme of things, because I think those are the memories, those are the foundations that's going to help them grow up to be adults that care about these things. Those childhood memories is really where we bridge that. And then just 2 more slides, and then I'm going to stop talking. We also have some data responses. So they answer some open-ended questions. And just in the first probably 5 or 6 that I flipped through, the things that they liked best: being outside with mom and dad, being outside with mom and dad, spending time with family in perfect weather. And to the point about we want kids to be off of their devices, I think us adults are just as guilty. I think we can be just as bad about being on our phones and being disconnected and being distracted. And I think being outside hiking, experiencing something together, learning something together also takes away that distraction from the adult just as much as it takes away the distraction from the child. And so, really beneficial, I think, on both ends in that way. And then lastly is just my contact information. So, if you guys have any questions, there's so many resources on our website that are free to use. So please check that out. Would love for that to be a resource as you send kids and families off for the holidays, that just remind them that they can engage with us in this way. And then that's my email and phone number if you have any specific questions. I would love to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Teddy. The work that y'all are doing is brilliant. South Carolina has so many beautiful parks and ways to be outside. I personally love taking my little one to trails and finding the information because it gives me new ways to interact with the parks. And with school break coming up, this is a perfect way to get outdoors and have fun with loved ones, like you mentioned. Also, like you said, we just want kids to be happier and healthier, and being outside is a great way to work towards that. So, thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing and for sharing your knowledge with us today. Next up, we have Christina Cody, who brings 16 years of experience in secondary science education and 7 years of experience as the Fit Together project coordinator for Union County School District. Fit Together is a student-driven initiative designed to catalyze a culture of wellness through youth power and reciprocal collective action. Fit Together has three components that each focus on a different population: Fit to Learn, students; Fit to Serve, staff; and Fit to Prosper, the community. With student-led teams of change agents at each school, young people identify barriers to health and well-being and design solutions to make healthier school environments and communities for all. Christina holds a bachelor's degree in biology, a master's degree in secondary science education, a master's degree in health education and promotion. She is also a Robert Wood Foundation Culture of Health Leader alum, and she is currently coaching at Hope students in a pilot program called Rise and Thrive, and a fellow of Harvard Graduate School's Ed Redesign's Institute for Success Planning cohort, building a framework of success navigators for every student and their families. It is my pleasure to introduce Christina Cody, who will also be turning her video on here shortly.
It's not letting me.
Okay, hold on.
Try.
Oh,
there we go. Wait, maybe.
Hi, welcome.
Okay, here I am. Sorry. Thank you so much, JC. Glad to be here. I hope everyone is having it's going to be a beautiful day where I am. I hope it is where you are. Teddy, I just want to give you a shout out for representing Blacksburg High School so well. I spent a lot of time in Cherokee County, and I love the work you're doing. I'm glad we've already connected, and we're going to get Union on that map as well. So I'm excited about that. I love sharing what is working for communities and schools with everybody, but I really don't like these webinars when I can't see all your faces. So you guys have got to hit that react button and keep me engaged, because I really just feel like I'm talking to myself, which I do already, but I get on my nerves. So you guys give me some love, and there's no negative ones on there. So sorry, you can't say anything bad. One thing that I see in the community engagement realm, since my students started Fit Together back in 2013-14, is that when families play together, it's just a magical moment. So you can go to the next slide. What we found out was that there really wasn't a lot of opportunities for families to do that. So I strongly encourage all of you to reach out to your community coalitions. More than likely, you have one. Some are just starting up, some are well established, and they can be an invaluable resource for helping you or your schools really make those connections to not only funding, and in my field, what students want, but also for the network of experts. So we have Live Healthy Union, that is under the Duke Endowment Grant right now. So we are really getting serious in Union County, and Cherokee's in the same boat as well with Live Healthy Cherokee. And we've worked on a very strategic community health improvement plan. Sorry, we got bells going on right now. That our population, our community folks like identified as our priority areas. And the beautiful thing is we use the Healthier Generation school assessments in districts to help us identify our wellness goals as well. So making sure that we align that and sharing the community health improvement plan with students and letting them figure out like, hey, we can make a big impact in schools and work together. So because of our connection with Seth Shelby and Healthier Generation, Live Healthy Union, which opened up opportunities with the Office of Rural Health, we've been able to do a lot of things to promote healthy eating, active living in Union County that the young people want. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So family engagement is one of those things that schools already do. And just recently with my experience with Harvard, we learned that there's a difference between family engagement and family involvement. So when parents are engaged, you really want them to feel like they are valued, that they belong there. And a lot of times, it's just really just family involvement. Like they show up, they do the thing. But with engagement, there's an education piece. And so some things that are already going on in schools in Union County is like at Buffalo Elementary School, there's a Heart Healthy Night, and they always schedule that in February around that time. And they're able to bring in experts to have resources there. There was like a blood pressure check. We had nutritionists show up. And then there was a time in the gym where parents and families could be active together. At Monarch, they had a Cosmic PE family night. So there was different like activities set up around the building. Monarch still doesn't have an actual gymnasium. So they get really creative about PE and then these nights where they incorporate physical activity. But this was kind of like a glow party. And it was really, really cool. They had a huge turnout. And then fitting a 24-foot parachute in a classroom was also fun. But the parents were, right there beside the kids, and the kids are just beaming, and you see them look at their parents, and they're like encouraging them, like, you're not going hard enough, and like, you got to really work it out. So that was fun too. And then at Foster Park, there's a new partnership that just started. Regenesis Healthcare is doing a 5 weeks to wellness course for parents to sign up. And just that whole education piece, healthy eating, active living, mental health, what resources are available, and really connecting the community to care. And that was one of our big priorities, and one thing we struggle with in Union County with our rural environment. So it's good, and then it's got its challenges. So another thing we do at the district level is we schedule staff and family time to try different sports. So we get some equipment together. We've gone out and played tennis. We've had volleyball. And one of the biggest things that Seth Shelby helped us get connected with was disc golf. So our Live Healthy Union grant with the Office of Rural Health put in a 9-hole disc course, golf course at the South Hills complex on the other side of town. And they ran into a couple of snags with needing more dirt, and they were working on that. And then Helene came in and knocked down a lot of trees. So that one's kind of still under construction. But then with the WISE grant, you can go to the next slide. With the WISE grant through Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation and the Alliance for Healthier Generation, we were able to put a 9-hole course on our high school campus. So Union County High School has a beautiful, huge campus, wooded area, and Seth literally walked us through the whole process. So first thing we had to do was get a commitment from the principal, the district staff, maintenance staff, our superintendent, and all that. But you can see Karen Petty, our principal here. You can see she's up front in the yellow shirt. She's got those massive biceps. And so she was all gung-ho about having something here that would be in line with physical activity. Then we got connected to an incredible organization. It's a nonprofit called UPlay. I think it's out in California, if I'm not mistaken. If Seth were here, he would correct me. But this is Zoe and Dustin, and sorry, they like, we communicated through email and phone calls. All we had to do was come up with a map that you can see there on the screen, mark off the areas where we didn't want a course, and they did the whole design. Just from looking at that, they made a site visit, figured it out, how they were going to lay it out. And then we did the buckets, you can see there. And Renee Good with our Live Healthy Union Coalition came out to help, and it was hot. Oh God, it was so hot. But we used one of the shops in our vocational school to do the setup and everything. So we got all those concreted in, and then they went to dig the holes, and the ground was so hard because we had no rain, and they just couldn't get the holes dug. So we ended up renting an excavator, and my husband brought it out and dug us some holes, and we put them in. And if you've never worked physically with Seth Shelby, like, there's not enough coffee in the world to keep up with him. So we were burying buckets all day. It was insane. Super fast, insane worker. And so that really helped us to really get the holes in the ground. And then the next part, next slide. You have this crazy app. Like, I had no idea. I had never really played disc golf except like in one of those portable holes that you put in the yard and you just kind of throw. So my kids kind of liked it, but there were no courses here. And so as we got this course in, of course, I'm like having to learn all this stuff, and Seth is trying to teach me. But this app like has our course listed on it. It's got all the details that you need to know. You've got people can leave feedback or whatever. No lie, we had the baskets in the ground. It went live, and we don't have T-pads yet. Those are in the works, but it even says on there that oh, sorry, Erica. On that, you have where it says restricted hours. So it's available for public use outside of school hours. And within like 3 days of this going live, I'm leaving the school about 6 o'clock one night, and there's people out there playing. And so I got to talk to them. But the app like gives you a GPS, so you can see in the third picture, it tells you like where the T-pad is, where the basket is, and you can keep score, and you can put all your friends that you're playing with on there. And so that really makes it super easy. You don't have to really know the course. It GPS like guides you, just kind of like your maps or your ways. Okay, next slide. If Erica can do it.
Just give me 1 second to stop
Okay.
sharing and resharing, but just so you know, I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
You just keep talking, I'll get it back up.
It's a fire alarm, Erica. And you got to exit. So the other part of the app, let me see if I can pull mine up. The app was super helpful, but the result was that we had students using it during the day. So Seth gave us some disc golf, some discs to play with, different kinds. I was watching YouTube videos. We had some teachers that were already familiar with disc golf. So they were out there, and then they were sharing it with other teachers. Students were going out there after school. We got to play. We would schedule these times, and then one of the really cool things is our teachers of students with special needs, they go out weekly, and the students are not only getting to be active, and we know that sometimes with that group of students with different abilities, like they don't get the same opportunities or the physical activity needs met as much as other students. So being able to have this location to give them some outside time and to learn a new skill that is really for all ages and all abilities is pretty phenomenal. And then you can see in that picture with the tree up top and the kind of in the middle, that's Michael from Fountain Inn, like drove all the way from Fountain Inn to play on the course. So I get to talk to people all the time that I didn't even know disc golf had a following in Union. And next slide, if you don't mind. We still have a few things to do. So we're going to do the T-pad installation, and that's going to, Live Healthy Union is going to help us pay for those things and get those out and together. Our students are going to help build them, which will help me, give them some basic skills with some using tools and figuring out how to put those together, and then we'll get all that set up. We're going to have some public coaching or fun days. So you can see Seth was out there with some PE teachers recently after a district wellness meeting. We're going to try to come up with some way that you can check out a set of discs, maybe even in a box or a lock box, combo box, where you could check them out and then put them back when you're done. And then we got to promote it, right? And the other thing that we don't quite have in place in Union County yet is an open community use policy. But that is in the works. And if you'll go to the next slide. So Union is very blessed to be on this journey of developing a cradle to career strategic plan, initiative, movement. So we have been able to host a lot of focus groups about what does Union County need. And that's, school-wide, that's community-wide. And we had 7 different youth focus groups. And I talk to young people all the time with surveys, and I'm always asking, like, what's the deal? What do we need? And what do we want to do? And so with those focus groups, it was always like, there's really nothing to do. And so when we get this open community use policy, we're working through the process now of, we've got data from our Live Healthy Union survey and our CHIP. We've got all these conversations with young people, and you can see down at the bottom that picture, that's Miss Miranda. She's a Spanish teacher here. She had some high school students together. I was at an elementary school, and we were meeting with our superintendent to talk about, like, how do we start this process? And here's some other communities, like Cherokee County has one in place. Kershaw County's gone through this process. And so we had our Live Healthy Union experts on there, the Department of Public Health. So all of these people that know how this works and that this works, we had them in the conversation with our superintendent. So right now we are in the process of using the South Carolina School Board Association model and tweaking it. And we're going to start meeting with principals to see, like, as far as their building and their property, what we want to be able to open up to the public. And so, with that, you need signage and things like that. But it's just been awesome to hear, like, we have a teacher that's got a 7-year-old who every Monday before the time change, they would come out and play disc golf while the other child was at dance or something like that. So it's just I see people all the time. I get to meet people, and it's just been really cool to be like, oh my God, Union has this. And that's the feedback that we're seeing on social media too. Like, I never thought Union would have a disc golf course, and pretty soon we're gonna have 2. And then we have a middle school principal who's like all eager. He's jealous that the high school got a course. So Seth is already, like, engaged in conversation with him to figure out how can we get one on the middle school campus too. But what's awesome is that young people are seeing a need for more things to do to be active, and they're the ones that's gonna make it happen. So we're looking soon to, after these meetings with principals, be able to present to the school board and draw up a policy for first and second reading. And then they get to, that's them participating in a civic process of policy development as well. So it can happen. And you don't have to use your own money because there are organizations out there that this helps move their needles as well, and the impact can be great. So you can go to the next slide, and if you want to talk about it or reach out or come visit and play, there's my email, a shorter one if you don't like the longer one, and my cell number. So you can also scan that QR code, and then it will like load my contact directly to your phone. So it's kind of cool. It's called Blink. It's an app. And then Seth, you should always pick Seth because he's an awesome dude and he is in it to win it and a major, major game changer kind of guy. So if he's not, even if he's not like assigned to your county, he'll show up and he'll answer all your questions. So
Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing. And for just to make sure that everyone is aware that Seth is in this picture. He's the one that's picking his nose. So if you've not met Seth, that's a great first impression. But Christina, Cody, you've been doing amazing work for such a long time, and you really do have the love for the community, but your work with youth is so important, and it teaches all of us that including youth in community input really helps develop sustainable programs. It it has a positive impact across generations. So thank you for leading that. And if you are looking for more information on Seth Shelby, this is the Alliance for the Healthier Generations website. He also helped us connect with the next presenter. So last webinar, we tried something new. We found an amazing teacher who was teaching during our webinar. And so she was able to submit a video of her tools and skills. And we're going to be doing that again this morning with Anthony Lorenzo. So Anthony is teaching right now, and we are very grateful for that, and grateful that he submitted a video ahead of time. He was born and raised in Alaska, and after completing his undergraduate degree, he started teaching elementary PE in Anchorage for 4 years. He, after getting married to his wife, Courtney, they decided to move to Georgia. Within the next 10 years, Anthony had taught at 2 schools and added to his family. They are now a happy family of 6. The boys are Keegan, who's 10, Oliver 9, Kason 7, and Bodie is 3. So big happy family. And after taking 1 year off from teaching, Anthony is back in the classroom for year 16 of his career and second year at Browns Ferry Elementary in Plantersville Elementary. So we are going to be sharing his video and his contact information if you have any questions for him. Thank you.
Buy into that. It's a community that, it's very, very open to a bunch of ideas, and I thought that this would be a great idea for it.
That's awesome. So I know you did some grant writing because Georgetown's part of the Diabetes Free South Carolina School Wellness Initiative, and you did some grant writing to get some of that supplemental funding. But as I understand it, the Live Well Georgetown Coalition stepped in a little bit too. What was that like? What's that partnership been like?
Yeah, so that's been great. Like you said, diabetes free. We also have Blue Cross Blue Shield. That was the grant you were talking about, and those were awesome because without those, baskets would not have been able to get purchased. But Live Well Georgetown stepped up a lot, and now not only did we get to install the baskets, that's something we would have had to pay out of pocket. So they covered concrete, they covered buckets, and I think we have the nicest tee pads up and down the Myrtle Beach area. So they covered turf tee pads, all the lumber for it, and it's been nice to see that the coalition is backing this movement. We saw the growth, and then within the last 5 years, really on the big level. But we need to teach the kids at an age appropriate level. So when they were able to help support that and show, like, let's give some nice stuff to these kids, I think it's going to go really well with the groups that we already have starting to come out and play.
Yeah, so when it comes to that community partnership, I know a lot of schools and districts are trying to find their way into making those connections. Not everyone's and that's kind of the purpose of this webinar series, is kind of that strength through that collaboration. So speak a little bit about, what you've got going on now. You've got a course that was funded through this grant, but you've also got these tee pads that you mentioned that were built and installed that the Community Coalition helped provide. What are kind of next steps for Browns Ferry Elementary with this? Are you still engaging with the community? Are you doing any type of events? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so down the pipe here, we have our first tournament. We're going to have Browns Ferry Elementary, our club. We have about 12 to 15 people. McDonald, which is another course right down the road, 10 minutes. They have a club. I think they're averaging between 15 and 20 people at their club. So we're going to host a tournament mid-November and bring them all out and just kind of showcase what the kids can do, and hopefully get a lot of the community hyped up about it. It's at 3 different courses just in our county. So people can come on out, they can bounce around between the courses and really just have a great time with it. I think the important thing was getting the setup and now giving that opportunity to the kids to be able to show their parents. I had multiple people from my club borrow discs over break, and they were out playing our course during the break. So it's a good experience for the kids.
I love that your community's actually coming in and using these spaces too, especially some of your students in the class excited to bring their kids. So how does that different from maybe things in the past? Like, does this course offer some opportunities for that, for where the community is able to play a little bit more?
Yeah, so we're still working through that right now, just with it being on a school setting. But I encourage you just to build and then really pursue that later, because a lot of the schools, when they see the demand that the community wants this, and I think that after the tournament and the parents are actually there, we had a family night the other night and I had parents throwing discs and they're getting excited about it. So I think that when the community shows up and they want to play, I think it's going to be pretty positive influence and hopefully get some gates open and just that easy access that we all want to the courses.
That's great.
All right, so a huge thank you to all of our presenters today. Thank you, Teddy. Just so you know, I live down the road from Saluda Shoals, and I know they do have a Kids in Park track trail there, so you can hold me accountable for taking my kids during their Thanksgiving break next week. You know what, maybe, JC, I can even send a picture in the follow-up for today's webinar, just to let people on the call hold me accountable as well, that I took my kids on the track trail. The last time we went there, we all rode our bikes. So this time I'm going to be one of those parents that, Teddy, they would probably say my parent made me, make them walk the trail so they can have fun doing the activity. So thanks, Teddy, for sharing. And then Christina, I was joking with you earlier when we were preparing for today's webinar. I feel like we need to recognize you like they do on SNL when they have reoccurring hosts who show up. You have, I'm pretty sure, presented on at least one webinar for each series that we've had of this connecting communities and schools. So I just want to thank you again for being available and for taking the time to not only prepare your information, but to share it. You have so many fans across the state, and we always learn so much from you. And I know that you had an amazing team of supporters who also joined you. I can also say that this is the second or third time that we have highlighted Union and during this school year of this webinar series. So a huge shout out to Union County School District and all the amazing work that you guys are doing there in the school district, in the schools, as well as your community partners. And then another thank you to Coach Lorenzo and Steph Shelby for preparing the recording. Like JC said, we do schedule these in the middle of the day when most educators are not going to be available. We do have a large amount of them that go back and watch our recordings, but just because they may not be available to watch the webinar live, we want to make sure that we're sharing their voices with y'all. And so we're just thankful for y'all as participants for being graceful enough to be engaged in their recordings, because they do have very important things to say. So thank you again to Coach Lorenzo as well. And to y'all, our participants, thank you for always showing up each month. We, like we normally do, take a pause in the month of December so that we can finalize all of our spring sessions for y'all. So be on the lookout before the holidays for some save the dates, hold the dates for the amazing sessions that we have coming up with some amazing national, state, and local presenters in the spring. And another big thank you to JC for always being my amazing co-host, and to Carrie and Juanita on our planning committee. So before we wrap up for the day, we do have some time still available for some questions. So I can't see y'all. You may already be on the screen. I don't know. I'm in a black box on my own right now. But Teddy and Christina, if y'all want to come back, and then JC and Carrie, have y'all seen any questions for our panelists?
I have not seen any questions yet, but I do want to give a huge thank you to Erica, who technically facilitated this entire webinar while a fire alarm was going off. So if thank you for always leading the ship even when there's chaos about. So we do appreciate you so much.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm trying my best. So please excuse any fire alarms. Cody mentioned school bells, and then every once in a while, a mysterious a box will appear on the screen that y'all are looking at. So I just appreciate all the grace while we try to figure out technology while we provide these sessions to y'all. If there's no questions, Teddy and Christina, do y'all have any last minute insights, regards, anything that you would like to share with our audience before we wrap up?
I mean, I'll just share, if you see something that needs to be done, don't take no for an answer, and always ask the young people what they want.
Yes, yeah, phenomenal. I will second what Christina said. And yeah, just that we're here as a resource for you for whatever you need. So just let us know how we can best partner with you.
Thank you again, Teddy and Christina. Something that really spoke to me when y'all were both presenting is the focus on your partners, which all of our presenters do. None of us can do any of our work without the support of our partners. And I appreciate y'all lifting them up and highlighting them, because they may be potential partners for the rest of us. So thank you for that. And then the fact that you guys really put youth in the center of the work that you do, and make them the change agents and make them the leaders, whether it's in their school or at home with their families. So thank you again for doing that. That's a great model for all of us to follow. So with that, we're going to wrap this up. We hope that y'all enjoy your upcoming Thanksgiving and other holidays. We hope that you spend it with some family and loved ones. We hope that we left you with some ideas of ways that y'all can be physically active together outdoors with the beautiful weather that we're going to have over the holidays. And we look forward to seeing y'all all again in January. Thanks, everybody.